Here's a quick video on how to use the Whisper ASR system. Let's go to here. So if you go to module week 6 in our course, I have a link right there, Whisper Automated Speech Recognition ASR. It goes out to a GitHub repo, a GitHub repository, you might say. You can just Google it as well. Let me show you that. If I was to Google Whisper ASR, and the first, well, there it is. There's GitHub. Yeah, the first option, the first hit here is the blog post from OpenAI introducing Whisper. The second one is that GitHub repo I linked to directly from our Canvas course. Anyway, here it is. They talk about the architecture there. That's cool. But right here, we need to set it up this way. So this is a pip install, so let me copy that with that little button that copies it, or you can just go like this and do Control-C. And then I'm going to do this in a Google Colab notebook. So if I just simply Google space Colab, I go here, and then I'm actually already logged into Google, so I didn't have to log in right there. And I'm just going to do a new notebook here. This is I'm not sure if you know what Google Colab notebooks are, but this is a way to write Python code as well as text and prose, as well as Linux commands. So here, where it's at the bottom right, it says new notebook. I'll click on that. And then I will paste Control-V on my keyboard, what I just copied a second ago, and run the cell. You can click with your mouse right there, or you can see there's a keyboard shortcut of Control-Enter. So I'll do that. And it's going to run it. It's going to, oh wait, it's going to error out actually. I'm pretty sure it's going to error out. With Linux commands in a Google Colab notebook, you actually have to put a exclamation point at the beginning of the command. I think it's going to error out here in a second once it's fully connected to Google's, oh, it is actually doing it. Okay, well, you usually have to do, exclamation point there, but it did it anyway. And then I want to add a new code block below. You can do that with this button, or you can do Control-MB, like it says there. I'm going to keep populating this notebook. So that's the first step, is download it that way. And then it says it also requires a command line tool FFmpeg. And I know that Google Colabs use this version of Linux. These are different distributions of Linux. If you're using Mac, you would do something like this, brew install FFmpeg. If you're using Windows, you could do something like this. Again, if you're using a Google Colab, you would use the top one like I'm going to. I'm going to grab that, Control-C on my keyboard, jump back to my Colab. Let me bring it to the first position, this to the second position. And I'll just paste Control-V on my keyboard and run it. Oh, it's probably gonna, yeah, it's gonna error out. The reason is I need that exclamation point right there. Let me zoom in a bit so we can see this a little bit better. Okay. Anyway, it's going out to the internet to grab a little tool called FFmpeg, which does all sorts of conversions between audio files. So that's good. This right here, I will grab as well. It says you may need Rust installed as well, so I'll just grab that and do a new cell block, Control-V. I guess it works without the exclamation point, but I bet it does also work with it. I betcha, yep. Okay, that's good. I'll let that work while we're getting some more stuff here. And there are 5 different models that Whisper has, and from tiny, base, small, all the way up to large. And you can see that the file size is progressively bigger, and the relative speed of one compared to the other is slower, which makes sense. The larger the file, the larger the model that you use is, the slower it takes for it to do the ASR. So it's usually a good idea just to try to use the smallest one you can. That still works well for your application. So I'm going to use small. Okay, here's some performances on different languages. But I want to get down to this point right here. It's very simple at the command line, it's very simple to use this tool. Let me just grab this little bit of code. Well, I only need to grab it. It's just very simple. You type Whisper space, and then the name of the file, if it's sitting in the working directory, and then 2 dashes model, and then the size of the model you want to use. I think it defaults to base, I believe is what it defaults to. And then if you're not using English, you can use the language flag there like that. It defaults to English. The default setting, which selects small model, works well for transcribing English. You don't have to use that at all. So let me see if it's done over here. Yeah. Let's see. I think that's all right. I'm going to add a new code block down here. There's several ways to do it, like 3 different ways I know of. If you put your cursor over that, it brings up this little plus code up here, same idea. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut, which I will do, Control MB. Good. Now I need my audio file. I'm going to go back to Canvas and go to the modules and go to week 4. If I go up to week 4 module, expand it, and then right here we have recordings of class members on 2.2. I put in the class, the recordings we made in the classroom on February 2nd. And then come down here and grab mine. If you put your cursor over the music note and right click and say save audio as, I'm just gonna call it EA for Earl. Put it right in my downloads. Let me just do EA 2/2. Maybe this slash is gonna mess things up. I'll do that. EA _2 2.mp4, and I will just let that save in my downloads. And then if I come back to my Google Colab tab and come over here to the left hand side, right here there's this files. It's the 4th icon down on the left hand side where I'm circling my cursor right now, files. And then there are 4 icons here. The first one on the left is upload to session storage. So I'll click that and go to my downloads, look for EA22, which is right there, MP4, and it's saying, hey, make sure you save these elsewhere because all these files will be deleted when you're done with this Colab notebook. And I say, okay, that's fine. And there it is right there. You can see it. So back over here in my cell, my block of over here, I'm going to do a exclamation point, Whisper, and then the name of the file that's sitting right there. And it is Earl or EA. There it is. And apparently, if I'm reading this correctly, it says that the default setting selects the small model and works well for transcribing. So really, that right there will do it. So I'm just going to run this cell. I use the keyboard shortcut to run this cell. It's working on it now. It's working. Good. It's going. Awesome. It's working through. Let me hide that to make this more exposed over here. And it is working. Oh yeah, if you don't tell it the language, it uses the first 30 seconds to detect the language. I assume it will say, hey, this sounds like English to me. Yep, detected language English right there. But like I said, you could put in this flag, what's called a flag in command line tools, this -- language space and then the name of the language. Again, if you want something different than the small model, you can put that in there with a model flag like that. And it also does translation. Like you give it audio in a non-English language, and it will give you a transcript, a translated transcript in English as well. So let's see how this is working. It may take a couple minutes. I may speed this up. So you can see that it actually is producing the transcript down here, produced the first 30 seconds or so of the audio file, the transcript of the audio file there. It time-stamped them as well. It tells you the timestamp of where this transcript happens there. So I asked Max, is it recording now? It is recording now is what Max said. And I said, one quick tip, it's transcribing as ASR should. What we said in the audio. Still working there. You can see this, spinning thing is still working. It's blinking here down the bottom. It says executing. It tells me the amount of time it's been executing down there. So it'll probably take about 5 minutes, give or take. All right, so let's create some more here. You can see it is now, it's nearing the end. It should be finished pretty soon here. You can see it actually continues to transcribe. Feels like it's going to be done real quick here. We're at 5.5 minutes so far of it working. And there it is. There's a little green check right there. So it took 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes to do that. So there it is. It prints it out right here, right at the command line, or right at in the cell in the Google Colab notebook itself. But it did create over here. I'll expose the files again on the left-hand side of my screen with the file icon. You can see that it did create these 5 files, one of which is a text file, a TXT file. If I double-click it, it opens up on the right-hand side of my screen into just each line is each utterance is its own line. You can see that's what it did there. SRT files. I'll double-click on the SRT file that it created. This is a file format that is meant to be used for subtitles of videos, like on YouTube or other places. VLC player can use this as well, and many other video players. So that's cool. It creates a subtitle file for you. There's another one called a VTT. This down over here on my left hand of my screen is another type of subtitle file. It also creates a TSV, a tab separated values file, which can be put into a spreadsheet into 3 columns, start, end, and text, with timestamps in looks like milliseconds here. Is this? Yeah, it's gonna be milliseconds. Yeah, milliseconds. So there you go. And so I'm double clicking here and it opens up on the right hand side of my screen. But you could download these. Like if you wanted to download it, you click on the 3 ellipses, the vertical ellipsis there. And you can do download and put it onto your hard drive and then submit it like in the Canvas or something. So anyway, that is how to use Whisper at the command line. There is a Python API that you can use as well. And here's a more involved way to use it in Python. This is Python code, if you might recognize that, if you've had experience with Python. But I find the command line tool way of using it just great, and it creates all those nice files, the subtitle files. So anyway, that is the Whisper ASR system. Catch you next time.